you. Good to see you too. Here we are again, doing our thing. Excuse me.
I just want to say how much I loved this show in the first season of it. What an amazing job.
Thank you. We were very proud of it, honestly. And I appreciate the compliment and can take it because we worked hard to make the show stand on its own and to really let it feel like its own series, give it its own life and its own set of rich characters, and we felt very good about it. So thank you.
How do you top it with season 2?
I actually feel like we just might. I mean, we've already shot 3 episodes. We have scripts up to 7, and so we've got so much going on, so much richness and tension with the family, and the tension between the werewolves and the vampires. The vampires have been exiled completely out of the quarter. That there's just kind of stuff brewing under the surface at every minute. So there's a lot of conflict and a lot of interesting pairings and interesting alliances that I think will make it as dynamic as it was in the first season, if not more so. Hopefully.
Is there a character that you actually wish you could include a little more that you get to write in?
Yeah, the characters, when you're telling the Michelson family stories, the characters that inevitably fall by the wayside are our ensemble, the rest of our ensemble, which would be Cammie and Marcel and sometimes Davina, and so we want them to be as featured and as showcased as our original family. So we are constantly trying to figure out ways to integrate them into the family storyline. And sometimes we get to give them great stuff, and sometimes they have lighter episodes, but that's the biggest challenge for sure.
Can you tell us about the crossover plans between originals and Vampire Diaries?
We talk about crossovers all the time. We have a lot of logistical things that we always have to keep in mind when we talk about crossovers. We've got an idea right now in our heads of one we want to do, and if all goes well, it'll happen. But I have no idea if we're going to be able to pull it off. So we'll have to talk about that once I know it's actually going to happen.
Is there a time jump between the seasons?
Yeah, there's a time jump of about 4 months. We actually kind of did sort of an equal time jump between the Vampire Diaries and the originals, just to not make everybody's heads explode in case we do something like a crossover. And what we'll see is that our characters have lived up to what they said they were going to do, which is sell their grief, sell the story that the baby has died. So we'll see kind of how they've chosen to do that and what it's made each of them feel like.
Are there any plans for Rebecca to return at some time?
Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca, we have already rolled camera on Rebecca at least once this season. So, I hope that she'll come back as much as she can, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed about that.
What about Cole?
Cole? Little mini spoiler alert, we have also rolled camera at least once on Nathaniel Bazalik. Now maybe a flashback, I can't make you any promises, but you will see his lovely, beautiful face early in the season.
And Esther as well?
We have rolled camera on Alice Evans, and that I will say is in flashback, but it was nice to have her back. I'm just giving everything up. What else?
Is there a reaction that's happened on Twitter based on any of the episodes that you weren't anticipating?
Gosh, that's a good question. Let me think about that. No, it's funny. I mean, not specifically to any episode. More specifically, there's that ongoing sort of refusal to accept and embrace certain female characters because they A, got knocked up by Klaus, or B, seem to have Klaus's interest, which it's always frustrating because you want those characters to stand on their own, and we're not trying to force romance with either of them down at anyone's throat, and they're really strong and fascinating women in their own right, and so the distaste for their characters from certain elements of the social media universe is frustrating because it's in a context that's not entirely fair. But yeah, I can't think of a single episode where I felt like, wait a second. I could name a few in the Vampire Diaries where I was taken aback, but so far so good. Everybody's generally like, oh, we like that,
When you write the season arcs, do you just plan for the one season, or are you looking ahead for a 5-season kind of underlying tone?
Truthfully, it depends. For example, in Vampire Diaries, Kevin and I sat down in season 2 and came up with how we figured the series would end one day. And that's evolved a lot over the years, but the spirit of it has sort of remained intact. On the originals, if Klaus dies, for example, the vampire universe ceases to exist because all our Vampire Diaries cease to exist. So we're hamstrung a little bit with like big plans for the series finale. So I think for the originals, it's more about taking each season, trying to make it feel like a self-contained arc, so that you can enjoy the journey of a season from episode 1 to episode 22, and then when you tune in for season 2, feel like you're seeing a new story, with not too many like remnants from the past. Enough to acknowledge them, and not too much to overwhelm them.
When you do a spin-off, established series, and it's kind of scary.
Yes.
So when did you know that you guys had gotten it right and that it caught on and that you were going to be okay?
That's also a good question, because when we when I first saw the episode that we did, the implanted spinoff for the Vampire Diaries, I was like, this is wonderful. I love this. I'm so proud of it. And it was such a great experience to make, and watching it for the first time was thrilling, because usually I've seen some cuts when you see it, you're like, so fired. And then it aired, and it kind of, I think the numbers were just sort of meh, and I felt a little bit sad about that, because I thought, well, gosh, maybe nobody cares, maybe nobody wants to see this kind of show. And God bless Mark Pedowitz, he just ignored that and picked it up the next day. So that gave me personally the confidence boost back to say, no, there's a market for this show. People are going to want to see it. We just got to do it well. And it was honestly, when the show aired, the numbers were good, and then over the next several weeks, they just kept ticking up just a bit. That's all you want, You want to go up instead of down. You don't want to be flat, And that was when I sort of felt like, okay, we're going to be fine. And when the CW could call us a hit, then I felt the confidence of, I think we'll probably stick around for a while.
So what was it like when you actually got that next season order?
That, again, thank you, Mark Pedowitz, seriously, because, it actually took a lot longer to pick up the back 9 than I would have liked, because he was picking them all up together, and for me, I was like, look, we got good numbers, let's go, come on, we got a season to plan. But the second season order came super early, and it was such a relief, because we could basically say to our crew, we're going to be here. We knew that our finale was a season finale and not maybe this is the end of the series finale, which is the worst. That, I would hate to have to write that. And it just made you feel good to be part of the first group that just got to know that they were coming back.
So is Michael going to be the main bad guy for season 2? And if so, how long is his arc for?
Well, he's a main bad guy for sure. He's definitely, Michael has a difficult time being anything but nasty, so he's going to be a thorn in the side of a lot of these characters. But I can't really speak that for Esther. I don't think she's up to much good either. So I think between the two of them, they'll be the key source providers of conflict, and then we'll be surprised by just who else can, really be how do you say shit stirrer without saying the word shit? I don't know. A stir of the pot. Yeah.
Thank you.
We're good? Thanks, guys.